Welcome to TPI. My name is Morteza Galambor. We are a CPA firm. We do accounting, taxes, financial planning, auditing, but also we have a CPA, we have MBA, we have tax attorneys. So we do financial planning, tax planning, retirement planning, and all that. So recently I did a lot of research in regard to this new package that Congress passed, $900 billion. Do you have any question on that?
Oh, Mort, can you tell us about the new PPP loans?
Sure. Kay, do you have any question on that? So I can, because I spent a lot of time last 3-4 days reading it at night to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I got one of the PPP loans earlier in 2020. How do I get that forgiven?
Okay. So the way I'm going to explain that to you today, it would cover how you get rid of or how to make the first PPP forgivable. Second, I also going to show you how to get the second PPP that's going to come out. You're going to have to pay attention. The reason being it's kind of difficult. Supposedly they made it simplified, but it's difficult. You can easily lose the second one if you don't do it right. So I want to give you the background of how to apply for it, because the way you fill out the application, if you don't know what the purpose of it is, you may screw it up. And if you make a mistake on it, you're going to really lose the first and second one. So what I like to do is give you some background first. Do you know the PPP, you know what PPP is, Kate? And in regard to EIDL, or should I explain it to you?
What is EIDL?
So PPP, Congress gave you money the first time it's supposed to be forgivable, but it's not automatic. You have to apply for it. You have to make sure you fill out a bunch of forms to prove to them you spent that money for your business to make sure you don't lay employee off. EIDL is different. It's really a SBA loan. So SBA has been in business for 100 years. They call it, SBA loan. They call it 7A 504, or they're pretty famous for 504 program. So it truly is SBA loan. That's what it is. The only difference between that and any regular loan, SBA loan or bank loan, is the fact is non-recourse. You know what non-recourse? So if your business if you got the EIDL and then your business goes kaput, so SBA loses the money. They don't come after you. That's the only beauty of it. So you're not liable.
Gotcha.
So they're trying to help. They're trying to pour some money in your lap, so get your operation going. So that's the difference between EIDL and PPP. Another, are we clear about this too?
I think I understand now the
Okay.
difference between them.
So the PPP part of it, this is what I want to emphasize. Kate, you said how to forgive the PPP.
Mm-hmm.
The sole purpose of it, that Congress give the money to all the about 45 or nearly 50 million small businesses across the country first time, was to keep employee employed. Because if you lay them off, what happened? They're going to lose their houses, they can't pay rent, they can't put a food on the table, the whole country is going to go to as a disaster. So trying to prevent that. So they came out and say, listen, Mr. Small Business, I give you the money, you don't have to pay me back, but please keep the employees, right? So the only, so rather than having massive people fall for unemployment and run on for a long time, that's what they give it to you. Why a small business? A small business is the backbone of economy. That's why. So you need to know what's the purpose of it. When you do the application, they're going to ask some question. You have to be aware of what they're looking for. That's what I'm emphasizing with that.
I have a question.
Sure.
If I got a PPP loan the first time, can I get it the second time?
Yes, but it depends.
Of course.
Yeah, it depends.
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So what happened is, first of all, this 800. In about the spring of last year, 2020, Congress passed a bill called 748, which everybody got the EIDL, but also PPP and all that. So they find out, oh my God, this coronavirus is still continues, so we have to give them a second wave. So the new bill, which is 133, they have $806 billion, which everybody, you see all this news and, you know, on the internet it says $900 billion, $900 billion. So $900 billion, actually half of it is for you and half of it is for vendors. So make sure you're safe. Yeah, you're good, you're good. So I'm gonna I'm gonna cover that. So really, this $800 billion or $900 billion that everybody's talking about it's not all for small businesses. It's only a small piece of it because they have to cover the Air Force and, you know, Homeland Security, immigration, and so there's $285 billion of that is going to be assigned to small businesses, to nearly 50, 60 million small businesses across the country. That's the reason they came up with that money. So it's not all about a small business.
Well, what is the maximum amount that I could qualify for? I know we don't get that huge chunk, but.
So for small businesses, they have a max of $2 million.
Okay.
Would that put for that?
Well, that would help.
Yeah, that'd be
would help.
like that'd be a good vacation.
A nice chunk.
Or yeah. Personally, I think you're looking at a boat. See if you can buy for $2 million.
What can the money for the PPP go towards?
Obviously, as I said, the sole purpose of PPP was to make sure we pay employees to cover the payroll, so you don't lay employee off. So I'm glad you brought that up. On the first bill, the 748 that it came like early 2020, they said strictly you have to make sure you paid for employee and interest and rent. That's it. But in the new bill, the 133 changed that, thanks God, and I'm going to cover that in more detail as we go forward. But one thing I noticed to make sure I covered, again, we are focusing on how to make the first and second PPP loan forgivable, but also at the same time, as you say, how do I get the next one? Also, if you don't jump on it like last time, they're going to run out of money. I think they're going to run out of money faster this time because the funds are smaller than last time. So I'm going to cover one other thing that you mentioned. So you said, okay, I want to get the PPP loan. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? So this is what, again, I want to explain to you. Congress passes this bill, right, and give a chunk of money to SBA, that $285 to SBA. It said, Mr. SBA, give this one to 60 million small businesses across the country. SBA takes that, he's obligated to do that, except it doesn't have infrastructure. So SBA went and talked to all the banks in the country, including credit union. It says, I'm going to give you this money, and through you, I'm going to spread it between all the small businesses. So if you want to get the loan, the PPP loan, you can't call Congress, you can't call SBA. Who do you call? You have to call bank. Another thing, you have to call your own bank. So if my company is dealing with, say, Eagles Bank, well, I only can contact Eagles Bank. I cannot call Bank of America because Bank of America is not going to help me. The Eagle Bank is going to have the information. So I want to make sure you know that, because people, they ask me, well, how do I apply for it? What? Call your bank. Call your bank. Don't call them right now because they're sleeping right now. No. So the reason I say don't call bank, because I don't think they're going to have information until next week. Again, the information I'm giving you right now, they're very fresh. So even SBA has to write a procedure to give it to the bank. It has not happened yet. It's going to probably be next week. The information I'm going to give you is firsthand. It's not news. It's not history. It's news. So you're going to have to wait till next week before you can call the bank, because bank, they don't know what the procedure is yet. They haven't got it from SBA. They're waiting for SBA to tell them what to do. But starting next week, please call the bank. Some people, they say, I didn't get anything. What? They're not going to give you anything. You're going to have to ask for it. But so you're going to get an email from the bank. You click on it, and there's a link. So we click on link, there's an application. The application is really from SBA, not from It's not from the bank. Bank really doesn't have any.
What
You have a
kind of
question?
information do we need to have for this application?
Actually, I'm going to get more detail on the detail of the application, and I'm telling you, they changed the application from the HR 748, the old one. When we applied for the first one, if you remember, we had to provide them with 941, 940, pseudo, FUDA, a lot of documentation. This one is only one page. It's only one page, that's it.
Awesome.
And they're only gonna ask you maybe 10 or 12 questions, that's it. That's all you have to do to get it. But, here's the bad part. The problem is, if you don't answer the question properly or and calculate the numbers, then I'm gonna cover them up with you to explain to you how to come up with the numbers. If you don't do it right, you're gonna lose the first one and the second one.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
no.
You have to be very careful.
Okay.
So you're gonna have to listen very carefully. So I'm gonna get now on more detail of this application stuff. So first of all, remember I said the bill, the 133 bill, it has one section called Title 3. Title 3 has a bunch of sections. I'm not going to bore you to death with because it's only 5,500 pages. Not very, it's very, but so I'm going to cover a few pieces of it. Section 301. Section 301 says additional eligible expense. Eligible expense. It's very important. Why it's important? See, last time they told us in order for us to get a PPP, I need a payroll expense. I want you to pay very close attention to this. Payroll expense or the payroll that you pay the employees, that was it. But this time, remember that was the old bill. The new bill, it says payroll cost. There's a difference between payroll cost and payroll expense. What's payroll cost? Payroll cost is payroll plus, the Social Security, Medicare, state unemployment, federal unemployment, workman compensation, health insurance. Health insurance is a part of payroll cost in this time. And 401k, sick pay, vacation, anything you pay toward the employee is a part of payroll cost. It's so much better. Why? So Congress is trying to help you to get more money because payroll expense was skinnier. No payroll cost is fatter. So I can get more money based on payroll cost compared to payroll expense. Do you see the differences?
Definitely, there's a big difference.
There's a huge difference
Yeah.
between payroll expense and payroll cost. So the eligible expenses are, last time was only 3 items. It says payroll, expense, not payroll cost, payroll. Interest you pay, and rent, that's it. Rent or mortgage, I'm gonna say, that's it.
But running a business takes a lot more money than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Congress, on the second bill, trying to help us more. So it says, you know what, you can put everything is included in this bucket. Just put anything you can put in there. For example, here's some example I give you. It says accounting. If you pay me, you can deduct, that's a good thing. Software, computer, if you pay any sanitizer, mask for employee, computer, internet, if you bought some equipment that you can communicate from home, anything and everything almost is included this time. What's important? Remember, we have to make a presentation to the bank, SBA. I said, I need that much money. It says, how are you going to spend it? I said, well, I have to have more expenses to put it in there. Otherwise, if I have a skinnier, so I get less money. If I have more expenses, I get more money. That's the whole purpose of it. So that was the section 704. Section. So this one, as I said, it changed because old one was 3 items. Now it's like zillion items. Everything is in there. So section 706, it says selection of covered period for forgiveness. It's very important because the concept, it says covered accounting, covered software, covered this, covered that. So covered period is, so with this new bill, it says between 8 weeks and 24 weeks. Between 8 weeks and 24 weeks. Pick up a section and give me those expenses for that covered period. So the reason they say from 8 to 12 because some client or some small business, they are seasonal. So they might be really good in the summer, or like say tax preparers, some they make very good money in April 15, whatever. But so let's say I pick up, for example, 24 weeks would be 5.5 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if I start April 1st through September 15, right? That's 24 weeks. So that's called the cover period. This cover period is I have to come up with expenses for this cover period, which is, again, remember the payroll cost, not payroll expense, and all other expenses that we talk about. That's the cover period, right? So why Congress gave us that? Is he's helping us, because I may have more expenses toward the end of the year than beginning of the year. So I'm going to pick up a section that gives me the most amount of costs and expenses. So that's the section 406. Section 307, it says simplified application. That's the one I love the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So last time, we have to create a lot of documentation. As I said, the 941, 940, it was a headache. This time, it's one page. It's one page. And it's not like you have to write anything. It's already pre-printed. It says, what's your company name, what's your ID, federal ID number, and what's your loan number. Remember, we covered the total cost and the payroll cost and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're going to ask you the question on that form. You have to make sure you calculate it properly before you put it there. So don't rush into it. In a way, you can run the numbers yourself and make sure the ratio is going to work properly before you put in that form, because you only get one shot. The good thing about this simple form, you don't have to have any backup document. The only thing I kind of additional throw at you is, let's say I come up with payroll costs and also related expenses for that payroll period, right? I have to keep these documents. I don't have to submit it. I don't have to submit anything. But I'm going to have to keep them for 4 years, just in case if SBA knocks on my door, he says, listen, the number you put there, what was that again? I said, oh, I lost, my dog ate them all up. So sorry about that.
Right.
So they're going to come if they ask the questions. Truly, in my personal humble opinion, if somebody has PPP loan less than 150,000, I don't believe they're going to come, because you're talking about like 50 million small business. They may go after anybody who is $1 million or more, to maybe even that will be samples.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I want to throw something at you right here is the money that you're getting for the bank has no liability whatsoever. So let's say if I lie in my application, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get money from SBA. SBA cannot go to the bank and say, hey, why didn't you do your due diligence? Why don't you do quality control? Because that's not a bank loan, that's an SBA loan. Bank has absolutely no liability whatsoever. They don't have to check anything. They just have to process it, that's it. But they have to process it quickly. That's what I'm saying, you have to do it quickly.
So how fast, I mean, if we apply, how fast do you think the loans are going to come out?
Well, Congress wants SBA and bank to do it within like a few days, like maybe a week or 10 days or so, that fast, yeah.
So it's all online and it comes out right away?
That's it, yeah.
Wow.
It's very simple, it's one form. The reason you use owner bank, because your bank has your account number, your bank account number, so they're going to deposit. Actually, last Monday, which is April 4th, for the $600, I don't know, you guys, did you get? We got our money already.
Not yet.
Yeah, we got our money already. I was shocked.
Mine too.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, that
Mine's
quick?
coming.
So this time they want to make sure they get the money very fast, so they, a small business has make sure they survive. So that was the simplified application 306. Another thing, the application, the one-page application, by the way, sorry, I should have mentioned that from the beginning, applies only for the one they have $150,000 or loan or less. $150,000 or less. So if you have more than $150,000, you have to use the long form, not the short form. This is for everybody who has $150,000 or less on PPP loans. That's important. That was, and then the 308, Section 308, it covers the payroll cost. So do you remember what the payroll cost compared to payroll expenses?
Yeah, the costs were everything from the expenses to the health insurance, the life insurance, the the whole nine, everything you spend for an employee gets grouped together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So that's the payroll cost. Now I'm gonna emphasize, when we get to the detail of it, you're gonna see why the payroll cost is much better than payroll expense. And remember the other part that they changed from the first bill to second bill was expenses. They expanded from 3 to almost unlimited. You can put all the the sink and the couches, everything in there. Everything goes in there. So Section 311, which is very, very important, covers three things. Number one, eligibility, which is important, obviously. The loan, how much loan you're gonna be approved for, and also how to forgive the loan. So here's the thing, and I cannot emphasize enough how important that part of it is. The only way you can get the second PPP loan, the only way you can get, you have to prove in 2019 your business was 25% better than 2020. Again, 2019 has to be 25% better than 20, or 2020 was 25% less revenue. Let me define the revenue. Revenue, I don't care about expenses. I'm talking about the gross receipt only. Forget about all the expenses. He said my total revenue was, for example, $2 million. Now it's $1.5 million. That's it. So you got it, this part of it, because that's the important part. If you miss that, then you're out of picture. You're not eligible.
Because the SBA wants to help struggling businesses, correct?
No, not the one. If they are good, so why should I pay money?
Makes sense.
So again, Congress came through another safety net in there. He says, you know what? You don't have to take the whole 2019 compared to 2020 because it may not pass. Another thing I give you, if you can prove any quarter, like first quarter 2019 compared to first quarter 2020, second quarter 2019 to second or third to third. If you can prove one of the quarters you have been down, I pass you. You're trying so hard to give you the money. So remember, eligibility is you have to prove that something was wrong in your business compared to before COVID and after COVID. That's important. So that's one thing. Another thing, it says each location cannot have more than 300 employees. So if you have a franchise, your own franchise, each franchise location cannot have more than 300 employees. That's also you're not going to be qualified. Another good thing about this time, if you're self-employed, you can get the money.
Really?
Yeah. Can you believe it? Self-employed, again, it's not, remember we thought all about the companies? No. If you're if you're contractors, you can get a PPP. If you're sole proprietorship, you can get PPP. Again, you have to prove my income was a little more, 25% more in 2019 compared to 2020.
So if I get a 1099, I can get a PPP?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So
That'll help.
so that was eligibility. The loan amount, how much loan can you get the second time? That's the important part, right? So if after you're eligible to get the loan, the second loan, just about anybody can get 2.5% of payroll cost. Remember payroll cost, not payroll expense, payroll cost, 2.5%. 2.5 times.
Oh,
2.5 times.
Okay.
Sorry, 2.5 times of payroll cost, not payroll expense, payroll cost. So if I accumulate all the expenses related to payroll, which is health insurance, all that, take that times 2.5, that's what they're gonna give you. Okay, they're gonna calculate it for you. You don't put it, when you put the numbers in there, it's gonna calculate, the system is gonna calculate it for you. Now, if you're in accommodation, like say hotels or whatever, or restaurants or bars or whatever, actually they get 3.5 times, not 2.5 times, 3.5 times. That's pretty cool.
That's, that makes sense, because hospitality,
Yeah,
that
they
hits
are.
so
They are
hard.
really. They are really. Hotels are all empty. They're
Yeah.
really suffering. They need to help them out. Absolutely, absolutely. So another thing I have to tell you is when you apply for the bank, you know, most banks they charge you for a loan fee. There's no
Yeah.
fee. They cannot
Ah.
legally they cannot charge because SBA is giving them a fee already. You know, they're not supposed to charge you a fee. Loan for less than $150,000. They call it. You have to. They call it certification, attestation of certification. That one page is going to say what's the company name, what's the ID number, and all the other question was the payroll cost, what was the last 2019 your revenue to. This like a 10 or 12 question they're going to ask you. This one page, all you have to do is sign on the bottom, so you're attesting the information you're given are accurate. That's all they need. That's it to get the second loan. So what I did is, I studied this. I was trying to make it more human language.
You've made it so much more understandable for us, Mr. Gallenboy.
So you can kind of bring it down to make sure we can understand and how to apply it and what numbers to put in there. Now, obviously, we're going to take care of our own accounting client. The one day we have a lot of business we take care of. But if there's anybody out there that they need help, please let us know. We'd be glad to help. Again, even though it's one page, it's very tricky because, as I said, if the numbers don't match, there's one thing I'm so sorry I missed. Remember I said you put payroll cost and then you have expenses. So look at, let's say on the covered period, I have my profit and loss statement, right? So I have my expenses. So I add to my wages and salaries. I add my health insurance, I add my other 401k, all that to it to come up with payroll cost. So they say the payroll cost has to be 60% of the total expenses.
Wow.
So if it's not 60%, then still you're not passing the test, you know.
So you won't get the loan.
Yeah, so I'm glad they made this one fatter because now it's easier to
Pass
prove
the
to
test.
pass the test for 60%. If that was only payroll expense, it's smaller, but now they widen it because I can put other things in there. The other 40%, remember I was limited to only 3 items, rent and interest, 2 items. Now I can put a lot more in this 40% in there. But the key thing to make sure when you fill out the application, the 60-40 matches also. So the short application, we're looking for 2 things. Number one, I have to prove to them that my business went down 25%. Second, I want to make sure when we put my expenses, which is payroll costs and other expenses, that 60-40 applies. That's the key thing.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's
Is
a
that
tough
easy?
topic.
Piece of
Yeah.
cake, nothing, you
Yeah.
know?
You've given us a lot of useful information.
Well, thank you for coming. If you have any information,
so
please
much.
give us a call at 703-288-1998, 703-288-1998. We'd be glad to help you. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
coming.
Thank you.
Have a great day.